Hello, and welcome back to Therapist Plays Night in the Woods. All right, we are back. The whole gang is together. We've got a mystery to solve. And I think a lot of you who are watching this have already played the game, so you already know what happens. But I am in the same position as Mae Borowski, which is that I don't know what's about to happen, and I'm really hoping that it pays off for all of the hard efforts, confusion, and heartbreak that it's caused along the way. Now, the cat just jumped into my lap and advanced the dialogue for me, so I better be done with the intro. I believe Bee was saying something about how she hasn't been on a hike in a while. So, got to listen for owls. Why? Owls are cool. All right. I got work in the morning. I love that. I love that his reason is just that they are cool. It's not a practical part of the mission. It's just one of the basic necessities of having fun. Let's go catch us a ghost. Okay. It's been so long to build up. Little Myrine is excited too. She's been telling me that there's no ghost. She's not a ghost believer, friends. Me, I don't know where I stand. I'm more of a wait and see type. How have I never been back up here? Fences work? Nah, people are up here all the time. I came here when I was like 12. What's up here? Just old junk and trees and animals. What is it, Bee? Nothing. Nothing? I was praying. Wow. Really? Yeah. Let's go. I think Mae's little stance here is kind of amusing because she's obviously been going through her own questioning of faith throughout this series. This disillusionment with a kind of higher power that cares about the universe. And I don't know if that means she doesn't believe anymore, but she's lost faith that believing does anything. And maybe Mae has finally learned her lesson that she is not the best at confronting her friends on those sorts of things, especially Bee. She's probably realized in this moment, you know what, I'm just happy they came. Let's not rock the boat too much. Wow. Gotta put all this stuff somewhere, I guess. You remember this from when you were 12, Greg? Yeah, I was scared of it. How'd they even get all this back up here? What's up? Nothing. Just like all this old stuff out here. It's here every night when you go to sleep. So, it's out here in the dark. So old. So old. What is she doing? Dude, hey, Mae. I'm fine. We should go back. This is stupid. Oh, are you also feeling a little scared, Bee? No, it's fine. Ghost hunt. Woo, fun. This is your thing, Mae. You need to be the leader of the charge here. Our friends aren't all that invested, maybe Bee a little bit, in this mystery. They're invested in you. They're invested in the mystery of what is happening to you. And yeah, I think she realizes that by this point. What the? Huh? Oh my God. No. No! Oh hell, he's awake already. Anyone got any juice? No, guys. Oh hell. Guys, wait! Lerv. I'm caught off guard by that name. Lerv. You knew this was gonna happen. You knew at the moment you screwed this whole thing up. It ain't like you weren't on the other side of this before. It was a mistake. I owned up to it. Lerv, this is you owning up to it. Aren't I allowed to make one mistake? One mistake? You left a goddamn arm in front of the click-clack. Because of you, God knows what's gonna happen to this town. What was I supposed to do? It was your screw-up. His leg's stuck. And it wasn't like you couldn't have called any of us. I panicked, okay? I was embarrassed. I sure wish you'd called me, Lerv. You think any of us want to do this? Guys, we can figure something out. Nothing to figure out. But I got a family. Lerv, don't insult us. You know you don't gotta worry about Jeannie and the girls. They'll be completely taken care of. They'll never want for nothing. This is looking like cult stuff. He's not gonna budge with that leg sticking straight out. No. Dave, Rick, Benny, guys, you know me. All right, Dave, you hold him. I'm sorry, Lerv. You know we got no choice, and I'd appreciate it if you'd stopped laying a guilt trip on us. No. No, no, no! Hold him still. No! Hold still. This will go easier if... This is a pretty fucked up thing that's happening here, so I'm just trying to bring some levity to it. All right, he's free. Lerv. Lerv. Ain't no one can hear you this far out. You're just putting yourself to more anguish and... Oh, hell. Let's get this over with. We should just make this easy, Lerv. God, his bone's sticking out. The hell? Shit. May Borowski? What? What? Who the fuck is that? Run! Okay, what the fuck is going on? Oh shit, I gotta jump. I'm literally being chased by cultists. I don't know what's worse, actually, that they're not ghosts or that they're cultists. Cultists are pretty bad. Oh my god. Oh my god. Why do they know me? What is going on here? Are they people from the town? What? What is happening? Part 4. The end of everything. So, what is Germ doing here? Nice. Nice. Yep. I love, like... Obviously, this is like a 2D plane, so everybody is always sort of facing one side or the other. But normally, like, what we're looking at is facing the side. This is the first I can remember that someone is looking directly on. Like, the TV is, like, where we are, essentially, as the audience. And they don't have a way to show this other than to put them on the side. Because otherwise, it just looks like they're looking at completely different things, but I like the idea that Germ is just... Anyways. I know we just watched, like, some weird, horrifying stuff, but, like, I kind of love this moment. Just Germ hanging out with the rest of the crew. Greg especially. I would like to listen to their conversations. I barely remember how to play this. It's like riding a bike. I play this game in my head when I'm falling asleep. I like to go over the plots of books I've read. Ooh, look at the smarty. Dude, why hasn't Germ been a main cast member? Like, he fits in so well. I try to remember every place I've... In order... What? Wow. It is such fun characters. All right, well... Oh. What? I get to be B? Oh, this is amazing. So no word from her parents? Nope. Did you leave a message? That's bad, right? So maybe we got split up. Yup. Yerp. Thanks, guys. This game had a great soundtrack. Very high school summer. I listened to like half the bands on it. We're going to see the Blank Tones in a few days. Or we were. I don't know. I played this until I broke one of the sticks. That's harsh. I don't screw around. It was a stressful time, senior year. I remember. Sorry about your mom. Dude, what? Bro, not even May could get her shit together enough to remember that. We have not even seen Germ be with any of the other cast members. He's such a fucking real one. Why is he not a main cast member? Thanks. He just continues to impress me. Where's Angus? I'm so tired. I could like curl up on their bed. There's like a whole living area under there. Okay. What the fuck is happening? I don't see anyone out there. Just wait. He'll be back. So we still have no idea who this is. And the cops? Well, I don't think the cops are involved yet. Big guy. Dirty coat. Or several. They could swap out. Can't tell. Also, I have to imagine, like, how did we get set up with this little situation here? We got split off from May, and we regrouped here, presumably to debrief on what we saw. Angus went out for something, and I'm going to assume Germ wasn't just here, so they called him. Like, they called Germ up, or met him along the way and brought him upstairs. So what's the excuse then? Why haven't we been calling Germ up this whole goddamn time? Why isn't he like the third option? I mean, we did hang out with him quite a bit, but I just wonder, did they like call him up and say, hey, you've been hanging out with May, so you should be included in this? And then the boys just sat down and picked up the controllers? I don't know. Getting dark earlier. Oh, there's Angus. Okay, so got brownies, got sodas. Oh. He went out for groceries. Want some brownies? I'm making brownies. And, yeah, maybe lasagna. Brownies are pretty good. I got some mix last week. Why all the food? Need to eat. Everybody needs to eat. Aren't you, like, scared and worried? Good dinner makes everyone feel better. Someone's got to take care of you. Part of me also wonders, like, we should be hanging out more here. This is such a nice environment. Angus is like just total caretaker vibes. Very calming presence. Perfect balance to Greg's hyperactivity. And, well, I mean, something revolving around Bee's life is she doesn't have anyone to take care of her. Like, her mom's passed on, and dad is going through his own stuff and kind of not super involved in that. She's really more the caretaker. And so I bet this is like really touching for her. Thanks, Angus. You're extremely good. Oh, no more than anyone else. That is a factually incorrect statement, Angus. Like, almost the entire percentage of anyone else is probably not as good as you. Like, I'm willing to bet that you are quite above average in many, many ways. In your measured perspective and kindness and just the lack of friction of any sort when being around you. Well, it's nice that he's also so humble, but about this, I think he's just incorrect. So that guy you saw in the woods at Possum Jump. Yep. Were those the guys like that guy? Yep. Sorta. He had a hat. I need to defrost the lasagna. Or do I? Do you cook it frozen? I gotta be honest, I don't know. A long time since I've made my own lasagna. Okay. Guys, this is a bad situation. Yep. Yep. Yes. Wait, everybody shut up. Someone's coming up. What? I heard it too. Seriously, what? There's someone standing outside the door. What? Everyone be very quiet. Oh my god. Oh, I think in our escape we might have fallen. Oh, poor May. Oh, and I hope she doesn't feel like her friends abandoned her. Is this like out near the western edge of town? Where are we? I imagine she's a bit on autopilot right now. But where are you going, May? Just pushing all the buttons to see if there's anything I can do. Oh, yeah, take a little rest. It's okay. Poor kitty. Oh shit. So this little congregation though. We got Shazakov. I don't remember the goat person. Lori, our parents, Pastor Kate, Selmers, of course, and by golly, Mr. Penderson. Old feuds mean nothing when one of our own is in danger. God is here, in this room. I believe that. In times like this, we can call out and know that our cries are heard. While we're here, maybe someone would like to say something about May. What? We're not dead? Are we? That'd be nice. May is my friend. Please, God, let May be okay. She's really a nice person. Why are we not, like, at a hospital? I don't know if this town even has a hospital, actually. Even if she doesn't know it. I wrote her a part in a movie I want to make. Thrill Kill Witch Call. We have the coolest friends, to be honest. Like, I know that this is a serious moment, but Lori, can you stop being so fucking cool, even for a moment? I guess not. I know she'd appreciate that. Who are you again? That's fucking Lori. Lori Myers. Thank you, Lori. Anyone else? May's a good girl. Sheena explored the stars, and she loved to hear about them. I'm sorry. Can be difficult. Anybody else? I've always known May as the kid down the street. A little younger than me, but tough. I've been through it in the past couple of years. Addiction, jail, rehab, divorce. The Selmers lore. And I just think it's not fair. That May of all people should have trouble. Where's the God in that? What a selfless person Selmers is as well. I mean, she's been through so much. More than I guess I realized. I mean, I know she's talked about some of it, but in some ways, like the strength of her character and the ways that she's found to cope with things, it kind of doesn't surprise me that she is so tough considering all the things she's been through. The amount of opportunities for her identity to fracture, addiction alone, I mean, having worked in that space for quite some time, like overcoming not only the addiction part itself, but the reattunement with the self that you have to do when there might be a lot of amends that you have to make for things that you did in addiction, and just time lost and damage to the body, and so many things that, like, my primary work in therapy with those in addiction has been about that restoration of self. And it's difficult. It's super difficult because you're also up against all of those ways that substance use affects the body and mind that make it harder to get out of a state of depression. It may be that some of those experiences ended her up in jail. We don't know. A lot of my clients have been justice involved, and so I know that that's also a big part of lost time and making amends to oneself. And divorce, I mean, lost love, like, my God, like Summers, I didn't think it was possible to be more impressed with her, but considering the place that we're in, Jesus fucking Christ, Summers is the coolest. Where's the higher power? This is all a bunch of bullshit. You know, and I've seen that go in entirely different ways. Some people I've seen go through experiences like Summers come out with faith being the strongest thing in their life. Like, that's really the anchor that helps them get through all of those things. And some people get out the other side of stuff like that with more of what she's talking about. How much she's had to rely on herself to overcome things. That the space for faith to explain why she's had these problems and its role in getting her out of them or through them gets smaller and smaller. And so in a moment like this, she's left with almost nothing in terms of justifying what's happening to May, and probably also a lot of the things that she went through. Thank you, Selma. Anyone else? I'll say something. May Borowski's always been a menace. And I called the police on her more than once. I hope she wakes up and learns a lesson. That's all I got to say. Really, Mr. Penderson, you just came here to say that? Okay. Thank you, William. Well, I think he tried in his own way, but it was it's tough to follow Summers, really. I'll speak up. Go ahead. May was a daughter to all of us back on the block. Speak for yourself. Okay, Mr. Penderson, maybe you've said enough. Sometimes folks is in the wrong place at the wrong time. I hope we find out exactly what happened to her. Oh, we know. Her friends told us. Yeah, they were out in the woods at night, down the end of Center Ave, and someone was out there hunting illegally. And they got shot, and May fell, and she must have fallen off a million things a million times. All it takes is landing the wrong way one time, and oh, well, I hope she wakes up soon and tells us all about it. See if she remembers who done it. I'm sure she... What? What? Wait, oh, okay, we are in a hospital. Starting to wonder about the quality of care in some Springs. Oh, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt. What's happened to this one? I don't know, bro, but your posture's looking very culty. Do we know you? Are you here to clean up? Nah, supposed to be fixing a door. I kind of feel like those dudes had like, or one of them had like a tool belt or something, and I can't think of anyone else who knows us. It's very suspicious that you're here right now. In here? Nope. Okay, so she's gonna be fine. For today, leastways. What? What? Who are you? Janitor. Okay. Very suspicious. The house is gone. May! Oh, thank God. What'd you say, May? It's dead. What's dead, honey? May, honey? Everything. Oh. It's nice to be at home in our own bed. Ugh. Oh. Poor thing. So, after several days of fatigue and the self-doubt and just feeling worse and worse, I hope she got at least several days of rest in the hospital or at home now. And what's probably pretty difficult right now is she's got a lot on her mind, considering like what we just saw, but she's not in a situation where she can think super clearly about it. What I guess though is that, well, what we discovered is actually worse than what we thought. I think the idea that it was a ghost was always kind of like a playful thing. I mean, it wasn't taken that seriously by anyone else. It was disturbing to May, but even she was sort of like, this is dumb at points. The idea that it was all just in her head was like kind of distressing, but to discover that something bad is happening and it's quite real, no ghosts involved, but just real shitty people doing real shitty things is, I don't know, probably more stressful than just figuring out it's a ghost and, you know, wow, wasn't that scary how the town was haunted at that one point? Like, because now, not only was she right that something was wrong, but it's actually worse than what she thought. And I'm gonna get her moving here because I've just been having her stay shivering in the street for the last couple of minutes. Oh, yes. Put your autopilot on, little baby cat. Go to your friends. It's a safe place. They've got brownies and lasagna. Oh my God. B. Oh my God. May? Holy shit, it's May. It's me. You came back to life. I don't think she was dead. Okay, so they didn't get split up. I think that they took her home because it said in the hospital scene, I don't know if that was like May's imagination of those other people or if those were people who stopped in, but then they weren't there when she woke up. Doesn't matter. Or I should say it matters little. The point is that her friends got her home. They're the ones who brought her home. We're not sitting here thinking she's still out in the park. Pizza party! I'm feeling woozy. You should lay down. You can sleep in our bed. I feel weird about that. How about the couch? Do I have to stop playing? No, the sound is good. Yeah, you know what? That's probably actually good for her. Good for Germ. Buddy is also stressed. This is his friend. And people have different ways of dealing with stress, and distractions of very viable, very important way that we put distance between us and distress. Not to cycle back to previous themes, but I was in a parking lot last night for, you know, getting groceries or whatever, and I just saw these parents, and I'm not gonna judge like their whole lives or anything, but I just have to share a moment of observation, just to stay neutral, which was as two parents coming out of the grocery store with their young kid, and the kid was crying, screaming even. Kid was probably 9 or something. And the mom was saying, "What's the matter with you? What's wrong with you? Are you hungry?" And she was sort of lurching over the child, screaming like also above the child. And well, this did not stop the child's distress, as you might imagine. And then the father came over and got at the child's level and was like, not shouting, but not speaking softly either. Like I think it was maybe slightly better, but it still seemed quite aggressive, like in terms of approaching a child who is dysregulated, upset, crying, using the sort of natural tools that it has to like make noise and everything else that children do, and to demand with equal or greater intensity that the child be able to identify what is making it upset and then stop being upset. So I don't know that these people's lives are like, this could just be a moment of not putting your best on display. I don't know. I don't know anything about them. It's just an observation. But what it reminded me of is similar situations where parents get mad at kids for distracting themselves. Like I can easily imagine a situation where someone tells Germ, how rude, how disrespectful, like this is a serious moment. Like this stupid kid cares more about games than his friend or something like this. And it's like, this is a perfectly viable way of dealing with the stress of the situation for Germ. Like this is something that is helping him step down from maybe the expected tendency of someone who can be fully present with those stressful feelings, but maybe Germ can't right now. And I've seen it go awry where parents or whoever demand that someone who is struggling to keep themselves together suddenly muscle together the strength and clarity to do that when they themselves can't do it. And I just find that bizarre. I've said already in this playthrough that a child can't be expected to be more stable than the adult or the environment. That should really be obvious. But I guess what I took away from that was I think there's also like a negative sentiment about how much insight someone should have about why they're upset or dysregulated. Like saying to a child, "What's wrong with you?" Like the child's still in a state and age and maturity where they are screaming to get your attention because they're so uncomfortable with something. Like, what do you expect them to say? What's wrong with me? And even if the child said, "Yeah, I'm hungry," sometimes the response is going to be, "Okay, well, you have to wait until we get home to eat." Like, it blows my fucking mind. And in contrast, this is why I was thinking about this. I was sitting on a plane recently next to some people, mom and a young kid, and this kid was like 5, like really small. And he was kicking his feet, and he was kicking me and stuff, and I thought it was adorable. And his mom had given him her cell phone for the majority of the flight, which was like a couple hours. And he was like doing all kinds of stuff on it, playing games, whatever. And even myself, like some of my initial judgment was like, wow, that kid's brain is going to rot out of his head. Giving him a cell phone, which is like a dangerous device for young kids' attention. But I also don't know anything about their lives or anything like that. However, what I do know is that when the child was done with the phone, he took a nap and laid on his mom's lap and like seemed to be at such peace with life in a way that seemed like a very trusting, warm relationship. And so I'm bringing this up because I think it's easy to judge without context. I certainly have no business like commenting on, the sort of parenting styles of other people, but I keep coming back to this use of the words effective or ineffective because they seem to neutrally describe what's happening with someone rather than, oh, that's good for the child or not. Like, all I can say is that screaming at a child who is already upset is ineffective. I think Germ running around losing his mind in stress would probably not be very effective for himself or May or anyone else, this is effective right now. The little kid on the plane, it was effective. Like, the kid didn't scream, cry. Like, he had a great time on his phone. And I get motion sickness on planes, and so I actually probably would have benefited when I was younger. I used to get a lot more sick when I was younger of just having something to distract for flights. I had a Game Boy and shit like that, and that helped. But I think Germ is showing as much support by just being here and not acting any differently than he normally would, even if it's not the normative way of expressing distress about a situation. So A+ to Germ for just doing it, and A+ to his friends, especially May, for being cool with it. It's a small moment in like everything else that's going on in this scene and in the game, but I feel like it's worth saying that coping with things looks different for everyone, and this game has elevated that discussion a lot, I think, throughout our playthrough of how we choose to cope with things reveals certain assets about ourselves that, if you just take them at face value, can look like flaws. Oh, Germ is weird and a little bit impersonal, and it's like, yeah, well, he has so few expectations for like how he's supposed to appear to other people that I think it really makes him quite independent and unique. And his strangeness, you know, if you could even call it that, I think some people would probably call him strange, isn't ruining his life or anyone else's. In fact, his life seems kind of sweet, to be honest. It's got a big ass trampoline and like good parents, and the little bits of impersonality that sometimes show up, I don't see them as, you know, being antisocial or disrespectful, namely because he asked permission. He literally said, do I have to stop playing the game? So he knows that it can sort of be seen like maybe as disrespectful, but asked anyways. And that's just someone who knows that this is going to be helpful for him. May is a bundle of chaos, and she's also like kind of the driving force of fun in this whole narrative. So we've talked at length about a lot of her assets that a lot of people find flawed. But in general, I find this scene very comforting, like in contrast to the scene we just saw in the hospital where, like, yes, it's some more normative, like everybody's lording over someone who's like in a hospital bed, and we're all really sad about it, and the emotions are intense and concentrated on like the worst feelings available to all of us right now. And like, I think that's fine too, but so is this. And I'm glad May has a place like this to rest and for these people to wake up to. Her mom said it's okay to keep her here. I'll drive her home later. So she just like wandered out of her house? Yeah, and all the way here. Jeez. Luckily she didn't pass out somewhere out there. I sure hope she's all right. Me too. She's a good person. Both of you. Shh. Jeremy's just gaming up a storm over there. It's great. So how well do you know this guy? We order pizza like, what, twice a week? At least. From out by the highway now, since Possibility's closed down. I thought you two were trying to save money. What? Don't police our lifestyle, B. Okay, well, just as long as we're sure the delivery guy is safe. I can spot him through the keyhole. If it's not him, we'll turn off the light. And I guess hide here until we die. All right, well, as long as there's a plan. Hello? Look who's awake. It's him! It's the pizza guy! Pizza's here! Now this is essential for the healing process. Even if it's making us sick. So what happened? We called the cops. Your aunt and some guy fished you out of the woods. You were like in a coma. Did you die? Just took a very long nap. Nice. Yeah, nice. I had this dream, or like vision, where I time traveled. I don't know. I'm like in and out of consciousness. Can you not eat? You should eat. I don't know if I can. I do love the idea of like pizza, though. Pizza's, well, it's probably one of the best psychological things that you can eat after a crisis. It's not the most nutritious for like regaining your strength, but god damn it, it's probably one of the best things mentally that you can do for yourself. Just get together with friends and slam a giant pizza. I don't know if I can. Sorry, Mom. You scared us to death, honey. Sorry, Mom. We'll come pick you up. No, it's cool. We're just gonna sleep here. B is there. B is here. Okay. I'll be back in the morning. Have B drive you home. I will. May? I know. Give us a call if you need to come home. I will. Love you, Mom. Love you, sweetie. Oh, what? By now we know that the relationships with our parents and anyone who loves us will outlast these issues, but I think it is still the case that stuff like this happening to May and the amount of attention and extra care and worry that her life kind of demands right now, it's, well, our parents got to be wondering when it's all going to come to an end. The thing is, only part of this was sort of her mental health trending sideways with little bits of decline. She's not delusional, like something really bad is happening. So it's not all just a sign that she's getting worse. You want a brownie? I can't really eat right now. Like, I'd puke, but there isn't anything in there. So I'd like puke my actual guts out. Oh, right. You need your guts. For the moment, at least. Dude, wild week, huh? You could say that. When we get out of this, I don't know if we're getting out of this. Well, even if we don't, and we're ghosts, we should hang out more. Deal. Oh, it's like he feels snubbed because we always chose B instead of him. No, we have to rectify this by doing a Greg run. What even was that game? Werewolf, Shred the Gnar 3. Wow, I played this at Casey's house like years ago. I played it yesterday at home. Cool. This is very cool. I need to like see Laurie and German Selmers, like the B crew, hang out. That'd be great. They deserve their own game. They've got Wi-Fi. Nice. It's like we're a real place, at least within range. I don't even have a phone because of this place. It's the 1800s here. Hey, May. Yeah? I'm really glad you're not dead. Me too. Yeah. 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 We're having our little ghost melters moment, which only means that we'll share a moment of crying out in our appreciation for one another, I'm sure. Can we all hit the sack? Cool. I'll be right out. Hey kids, can we do the lights out now? I'm gonna drop over. Yeah, dude. Sounds good. See you all tomorrow. You sure it's safe for you to leave? Safer for me, at least. Nobody's been following me. I wasn't in the woods the other night. Oh, Right. I'll keep an eye out. Also, I got mace. Of course, Germ does. Honestly, we're safer with him here. You carry mace? Since that dude followed me home that one time. Oh, right. Hey, May. Yeah, Germ? What's your name short for? Margaret. Take care of yourself, Margaret. You too, Jeremy. That's a sign of deep respect for one another. Do you know why I beat down Andy Cullen 6 years ago? Oh my god. Not really. I'd really like to know. No. We weren't talking then, and I thought it'd be weird to bring it up now, and I was playing this video game. You were like dating ghosts or something. Okay. And I was really into it. Played it like 24/7 until this one afternoon. And suddenly, like, something broke. Broke? It was just like pixels. The characters on screen, I felt like I knew them. They weren't people anymore. They were just shapes. And their lines were just things someone had written. And they never existed. They never had feelings. They never would exist either. And I felt so sad. Like I just lost these real people. This whole thing we had, it was just me alone. And like that realization, like dumped out of the screen and into real life. Went outside and the tree out front. I looked at it every day. It was like a friend outside the window. Now it was just a thing that was there, growing and eating and just being there. Like all the stuff I felt about the tree, it was just in my head. And there was some guy walking by and he was just shapes, just like this moving bulk of stuff. And I cried because nothing was there for me anymore. It was all just stuff. Stuff in the universe, just dead. Wow, that's... Huh. And the next day was that softball game. And Andy was the pitcher when I was up. And he was just shapes, too. Just lines someone wrote. Like, nothing in there. And I was so scared and angry and just... I don't know. Before I knew it, I was on top of him, smashing his face in with the bat. Just shapes. Red shapes all over the grass. My God. May. Have you talked to anyone about this? After it happened, they made me go to therapy with Dr. Hank. Oh, God. He's the worst. And he made me start a journal. Journal? Yeah, he kind of just said it would help to be able to get my thoughts down. Did it help? Kinda. Sorta. But since this whole thing happened, when I'm alone in a new place, it's all shapes, like back at the softball game. I was doing fine at college for a while. I couldn't make friends. I was just afraid of being outside or around people alone. And there was this statue of like the founder or something, a really shitty statue, like all rusty metal. And it was these shapes. And he was pointing down at me. And I was so scared. I didn't leave my dorm room. I either didn't eat or I ate entire pizzas at once. I downed cough syrup just to sleep all the time. And finally I got up the courage to leave. And I came home, where everything was fine. Where I knew everyone, and it wasn't just dead shapes watching me. Jeez. Something broke in my head, in my life. I don't mean to be like, whatever, but it sounds like you're suffering from some serious stuff. And like, I can help you find some help for it. Dr. Hank already tried. I think Dr. Hank should stick to family medicine and dentistry. And the half dozen other things he does. And maybe leave the mental health services to someone else. Okay, so that's what's going on. He's maybe not a quack, but he's really not specialized in therapy. Like, there are such things as depression and anxiety and, like, I don't know what you're going through. It exists. Yeah, I do have some thoughts on everything we're hearing here. I thought when I came home, I felt so safe here, and everything made sense for a few days. And then all this, and shh, 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 shh. It's gonna be okay. We'll figure this out. I'm so scared. I know, we're all scared. But we're gonna make it. You should get some sleep. Hey. Hi, guys. Love you. Oh no, what is she doing? The hole in the center of everything. So we finally have some context to this big event that happened in May's adolescent years. And I think it's pretty interesting that they're actually really connected. Like, they're part of the same thing for her. I have two comments to make on this, one professional and one more personal. The first being, it sounds like what she experienced was a kind of derealization, which is an experience under the category of dissociation, where not only do we step away from our conscious awareness of things, but our perception of reality becomes less tangible, more dreamlike, or in some way we're not connected with it, and not in like a psychosis sort of way, although it's all similar, right? It's the mind experiencing reality quite differently than sort of the way it's supposed to. And this is like a very complicated area of psychology. It's not something that the field knows everything about, and certainly I don't. And I can also imagine Dr. Hank doesn't. However, there's something that he did that is actually pretty dang good, and we'll give him credit for as I get into this. I hope May forgives me for monologuing while she's in this very sort of distressed state, but generally speaking, dissociation is a natural thing that we do. It's the mind's ability to create space and distance from the present moment, from conscious awareness. Sometimes just so that it can kind of buffer and consider things before we act on them. And sometimes it's to create distance from things that are very painful or very stressful. We hear more about that kind of dissociation because it's the big one. It's like dissociating from trauma or traumatic events. But we do small amounts of dissociation all the time. Even elements of distraction, like what Germ was doing, or using your imagination, are functionally the same aspect of the mind's ability to just put space between conscious awareness and your experience of reality. The problem isn't that we do it. The problem is that we're not always in control of it. And the parts that we are in control of, like intentional dissociation, using your imagination, daydreaming, right? These are conscious. But dissociation also happens on its own as a part of autonomic processes. And it sounds like what May experienced was this moment of detachment, which she remembers, right? Like she has access to the memories of it, and her conscious mind is sort of interpreting them in this way that's like quite confusing. And unfortunately, on the problematic side of dissociation, when it is unmanaged and in a way that prevents growth and like conscious coping, there is a correlation with like higher self-harm, or potentially even what May experience, which is harm towards someone else. She described something in her mind as breaking, something broke in it. I don't know if I would use this exact word, but the message that I would have for her in terms of how to settle into an idea of like what happened to her is almost like something overheating. Think of like an engine that combusts, like it's supposed to get hot. It has a certain tolerance of how hot it's supposed to get. And physics allows for it to get hotter than that. It's not designed to do that. But sometimes, whether like we press too hard on that tolerance, or sometimes it really is just like kind of a freak accident, something we can't explain, like this, really was maybe just an automatic thing that wasn't connected to something else, or maybe she just doesn't have the memory of like what caused this lapse in kind of awareness. When something overheats and it's past its sort of tolerance of how much it's able to control that, it usually shuts down or something else happens. Maybe it combusts. And like, that's not supposed to happen. It's definitely not supposed to happen. May Borowski, was not connected personally to the values and decisions around smashing someone's face in. Like, this derealization is describing a sensory detachment from one's experiences, but also a detachment of meaning, what her actions mean and why she was doing that. Now, why would something violent occur? Well, it could be that a lot of our autonomic functions are about self-preservation, and there's some very deeply rooted stuff in us as people that allows us, even when we are not connected to our awareness, to fight back at things. And the nervous system can interpret all kinds of things as danger that aren't necessarily dangerous. And that would be a sort of psychoeducation piece of this, to help May understand that what happened to her is an unnatural function of something natural, dissociation. And despite remembering that she did it, and the way our mind, our memory, can sort of implant intention after the fact, can make it seem like she was in control of some aspects of that moment when she probably really wasn't. There's therapeutic work that can help with this, to repair autonomic responses to things, somatic experiencing therapy, things that help the nervous system restore its ability to self-regulate, so that we can apply more conscious coping, hopefully the preventative kind, so that in moments like that, some automatic system like our ability to disconnect from reality doesn't just sort of kick in without us wanting to. That might be an approach, but that's a highly specialized thing. It's not something I know a ton about. What I would try to help her with is on the esteem side of things, like having gone through this, and especially as she connects it to her college experiences, like the reflections she has about herself that come after a moment like that. We've seen it throughout the game. She finds what she did horrific, confusing, scary that she's capable of that. She worries about how people perceive her, as much as she tries to blow it off or make a joke of it sometimes. She's regretful about the financial cost that it's had on her parents, and obviously the physical effects it had on the person that she hurt. After a moment like that, where something automatic happened that her primary decisions weren't deliberate in, it's very hard to settle with how you, as the person you are, did those things. We do our best to give meaning to something like that and say, well, what could have caused it? Was it stress? Do I have something really deep and violent in me that I'm normally like not aware of, or is held back in some way? And can that just take over at any time? Did something break inside me? Like, the conscious mind can't help but try to apply rationale to something that may not have had a ton of it. So part of working with her on this would be like just providing that psychoeducation, which I have found helps to alleviate some of the pressure that you can put on yourself, to just know that like you're not in control of all of this stuff. You're responsible, obviously, for the actions that you take, but let's be careful how we assign meaning to them. And that involves engaging with those memories in a way that doesn't dilute them with like, it was the same me that I am when I'm conscious and fully in control of myself that did those things. The other part of working on this is actually in the second half of the issue for her, which is it kind of started to happen again when she went off to college. We don't know if it happened at any point in between these two things, like when the issue happened as an adolescent and when she went off to college. But those are the two main stories she has. It's significant that this happened again after a big environmental change like that, and in a moment where she was wrestling with a lot of identity and capacity to be social and accepted and all this stuff. Because if there's ever a difference in how someone deals with something, like how they cope effectively or ineffectively based on environment, then it's very important that you call that out, because the distinction, bringing awareness to it, does a number of things. Anytime that you have someone make a comparison, do you struggle with this more in this place or that place? Is it more manageable here or around these people than it is over here? Like anytime that you have someone make a comparison in therapy, you're engaging the hippocampus, which deals with memory and many of the things going on up here. So this is really valuable, having people start to make comparisons and draw distinctions between when something happens and when it doesn't. You dissociated more when what? When I was in a new place, when I was surrounded by these people, when the statue was overlooking me. Okay, and those were stressful things. Now, was there ever a time where you felt a similar amount of stress, but you found that you didn't dissociate? Draw a distinction, right? Make that comparison, because it's very likely that May can say, well, I feel really stressed when I have to study for something. And she might actually say, oh, I totally dissociate too, and I like zone out or procrastinate. And well, yeah, that's the conscious side of dissociation. That is your mind allowing itself to create spatial distance between your awareness and a stressor. And we do that purposefully. Like, we know what we're doing when we're sort of delaying studying when we know we need to. So you ask a question, how do you manage that? How do you start that process of giving your mind that space in a way that lowers the stress but doesn't take things too far, right? Like, we want to start understanding what her process of intentionally dissociating is. We also want her to talk about everything that she said. When I went home, I was surrounded by people. Things became a lot easier. Like, we haven't had a moment like that since. Like I talked about in the beginning of this playthrough, operationalizing the coping response in a way that helps May understand when are the times that things are more manageable? What are the steps that you take to make them manageable? Who are the people that you're around, environment, etc. And you and I and she can all already identify that, like, having a great support system and, you know, being in a more familiar place and not under the social pressure to like fit in was all really important for this not happening again. That's not like hard to figure out. What's hard to figure out is how she can have those stabilizing forces elsewhere in her life. Like, if she ever wanted to go on another adventure or try college again, she obviously can't take Possum Springs and its people with her. She probably wasn't quite ready to go out into the world and try this big shift because she didn't have any of the coping skills she needed to do that yet. And so what happened? Well, in a moment of overwhelm, the mind and body resorted to the thing that it knows works very well when reality is distressing, to step away from reality. So that is why you start doing some of this work to say, okay, well, it's easy to keep yourself grounded and to be, if not happy, like manage the stressors of life when you have people around. We probably identify a couple of things that she does, as we've talked about in this playthrough, like her ability to socialize with people. Again, that would be a huge one for this, because I would say, okay, what makes it easy for you to talk to Germ and to go up and meet Germ's family and all these like random people? Okay, like, how do you get into the mindset to do those things? How do you pull it all off? Because she's going to be able to, with help, identify the steps that she takes, whether she knows she does them or not. We're going to help her realize them. It's going to teach her to give herself more credit about the fact that these are skills and assets she possesses, rather than just something automatic that she does. Because it's not automatic. She goes off to college and she fumbles hard. What are these things? How are they so successful here? Okay. And then we're going to start small. We're going to ask her, can you imagine, not to go do, but just to imagine first yourself using those steps in a variety of situations? You know, maybe one of those first steps that she does is she thinks about who this person is to her and how much their interactions matter and whether she cares about whether they judge her or not or something. And maybe the second step is I try to break the ice with a joke or something humorous, like all the stuff that we've seen her do. We just want her to be able to identify them, help her recognize that this is an intentional process that she does, whether she knows she does it or not. Okay. And then that's her skill. Imagine yourself using it in a variety of other contexts. Imagine yourself using it at another party with B. What would those steps look like? What would the outcomes be? How would you rely on some secondary coping strategies if they don't work out? And then a little bit of exposure. Let's go out into the world and, try using this process, this list of things that you do to get yourself to be more socially fluid in one or two new relationships. Try it where the stakes are low. Okay. Like, we can't expect her mind or personality to develop an internally working system for a very unfamiliar environment and all of the stressors that come with that. I think she's great at certain things, but she's in her hometown. They're easy to practice here. She's used to it. She just hasn't been able to take them outside. So you essentially start with a lot of that. Okay. First, help her realize that there are situations where she is really good at the things that she struggles with at college or elsewhere. Help her realize how much intention she actually puts into that. Every time I've done this process, it helps instill a lot of competency and faith in the person because they start to realize, oh, I guess I really am kind of good at that when I break down the process that I go through. Then we have her imagine using this in a variety of other contexts. We have her try it, right? And all of this is helping both her personality, her conscious awareness, and aspects of the autonomic nervous system get used to having an intentional coping strategy for things so that it doesn't have to rely on these like really deep, intense automatic ones that substitute for not having something available consciously. Because you're doing it this way, you're creating new neurosynaptic connections as well. Like, you now have new experiences of using skills in situations that are similar to those that you have failed at before. And you're avoiding the potential risks of re-traumatization, which might come from just having her relive the difficult experiences. Like, to do this work, you don't need to go through the trauma and you don't need to reawaken the part of the psyche that violently assaulted someone and isolated herself in the room. Like, in a sense, we're not really interested in that. Like, we're interested in it because it is context for what happened, but great. We do the psychoeducation piece. We help to understand what's going on, why those events occurred. But the solution for her to continue her life is not embedded in reliving the most difficult moments of her life. It's very rarely embedded in any of ours. It's embedded in the hidden competencies that we already have or have yet to discover. Like, in this process, you're usually going to find things that she doesn't have a skill set for. And you're going to say, okay, well, look, you really struggle with getting out of the house. We know that once you have this process for talking to people, but getting yourself to a social thing and not being miserable there, that's difficult. Okay. Well, is there anything from this technique, this process that you have, that's kind of about psyching yourself up to talk to someone, or any other competencies that we can identify in her that we can say, do you think you could try that process over here? I think I already talked about it earlier in the playthrough. It's been a while, but I talked about someone who was this amazing calligraphist. these incredible like designs and writing, but he was struggling to talk to his kid. I had him explain to me the exact process of how he gets into the state of mind and the practice of doing this amazing calligraphy. Something that is just kind of automatic for him, but we broke it out, made it intentional, right? And then said, do you think you could apply that to the conversation with your kid? What's the first thing that you do? Oh, well, I get a couple of references and then I do a couple drafts, and the drafts help me organize things. It's like, okay, so before you do this thing that you're an expert at, you have some preparation. Well, you're not an expert at talking to your kid just yet. So what does preparation look like? What does getting a reference for what you're going to draw and doing drafts look like for talking to the kid? Maybe it's even going back into distinctions and saying, well, are there ever times where you have a great conversation with the kid, where things go really smoothly, when it's very easy? Oh yeah, when we talk about this subject, okay, we're engaging the hippocampus, we're drawing distinctions, we're strengthening those synaptic connections of competency over something we feel incompetent in. Okay, so that's your reference. You're going to look at the conversations you have with the kid that are very simple, very easy. And then, okay, you need to do a couple drafts for one of your calligraphy projects. Do you think it would help if we practiced a couple conversations to have with the kid? Yeah, I think it would. Yeah, because you already know this works. It's like so special to help someone develop a sense of competence in themselves based on something that they are already competent in, and then find that that has a very transferable quality over this thing that this feels very foreign and scary. And nowhere in that process do I need to like re-traumatize this person with like, yeah, so what's like the worst time that you talked to the kid and it went really bad? No, we're not interested in that for this. We're interested in promoting wellness and like getting better in a person. And you do that by doing a lot of this and a bunch of other stuff. So coming back to Dr. Hank, okay, it's probably not his forte to do what I'm talking about, but, and I don't think I can pull it up right now, the journal, a stroke of genius from Dr. Hank, really, because, and I don't know if he told May to do this or not, this may just be something that she is a genius at, which is that it's essentially a form of art therapy. She writes as well in the journal, like little vignettes of the storyline and her comments and that sort of thing, but it's her artful expression of things that she experiences that I think are helping her consolidate her thoughts and memories in a way that, just think about why she dissociates. Reality is too hard. I need to step away from reality. Okay, well, for someone who might have a hard time living in reality and describing it and grasping her feelings around it, which we know that she has had several times where she's like, I just don't know what to say. Well, fucking art therapy is like a brilliant alternative to that. It helps us explore and interpret and draw meaning from experiences in a way where we don't have to get too involved in the nitty-gritty of reality all that much. We can be abstract, we can be silly, we can modify and satirize our experience in ways that just have a profoundly healing effect. And I think that's been one of the best things for her, especially because it's so self-driven. But I think the reason she kind of undersells it, she's like, yeah, it's sort of helped. Like, it is sort of helping because she hasn't actually tapped in the way that I'm talking about with some of these other things, which is like, yeah, but let's operationalize that now. Let's get involved with this thing that you've been doing that sort of helps, and try to understand ways that with more intentionality and more direction can be really helpful. And it's so simple. It's like everything that I've talked about. Go through the procedure. What's the first thing that you do when you get ready to write down your experience? Well, I open up my journal and I just draw a sketch. How do you decide what to draw? Well, I kind of pick the most standout feature or quality about something, and I just start putting an outline together. She's thinking that this is like mundane, and I'm sitting there like, that's incredible. Like your ability to identify like the core theme of something or someone, like when she draws B with like a breath of fire, or mom with like her detective stuff. I forget exactly how they look, but like that is an incredible ability. And I'm fucking sick and tired of people undervaluing those little parts of themselves that they think are just incidental quirks. That's a skill. That's an ability. That's a competency that you are fucking underutilizing for restoring other parts of your life that you don't have a competency in yet. May's ability to synthesize the core theme and visually represent that is so good and so versatile for so many other things. It's probably how she's able to also talk to just about anyone, because she can isolate what the point of relatability is very easily. I think she's not always an expert at it, but her sense of comedic timing and humor are also like a part of the same synthesis. And when you think about someone in these contexts, not all the stuff that's wrong with them, how bad the stuff is broken, the pathology. When you think about someone in terms of all of these competencies that they don't even know they have, like it's tragic in a sense that we haven't built a system or a world that tries to elevate these things. That's primary interest is in identifying them and helping a person feel more like themselves because of them. Instead, we have an industry in mental health that focuses on making people obsess over which label best describes their worst qualities. Why? What? That's fucking crazy if like your idea is for people to think better about themselves. I say this knowing fully that like the beginning of this series was my introduction to a new perspective. It just happened parallel to the start of this series. Actually, for some lore, like I hadn't been initiated to this wellness perspective in the first episode of Night in the Woods. It's actually only in the second one. It has completely changed my perspective on people, and you know, I've now had several months of practice with it. And well, I wondered at the time, as many people watching the series did, if it would hold up. And I can say that it does. It hasn't been a flash in the pan for rethinking people. Now that I've like really practiced with it and I have seen its benefit, I just have seen an immediate shift from how tense sessions were, like going through people's issues that way, the pathologic way, to an almost kind of excitement and fun of figuring out and discovering like, wow, I never realized I was that good at this thing. Well, let's play around with using that thing somewhere else. And knowing that there's so much of a foundation in neurochemistry, like that these kinds of questions, they stimulate the hippocampus and create executive functioning, like that for me has lended a lot of credibility to the approach beyond just, well, feeling better after the conversations with someone. Knowing that they actually have restorative properties to many of these functions of the mind that, well, some therapies cause additional tension on by having us relive traumas, by having us focus mostly on cognitive behavioral interventions. That would be my approach with May Borowski, kind of knowing deeper about what she's been through, psychoeducation to help her understand, and then helping her see that many of these things are actually manageable with the right focus. Out of that, I think that we would find a May Borowski who feels more in control of whether or not these automatic ways of coping kick in when she's under distress, but also someone who sees a lot more value in themselves than they did previously. That's been the number one takeaway I've had from trying this new approach to therapy, is that people like themselves more and they feel more competent. And I think out of my years of therapy, that's been the most beautiful thing to see, is someone believing in themselves again or maybe even for the first time. The second comment I wanted to make on this was a personal one, which is that I fucking get it in some way. The like difficulty of being who you want to be in one environment versus another one. Like, I haven't had it to this extent, but I'm a very different person living in America than I was in Europe. And my memory may be fudging the details on this as well, but I just had a much easier time putting myself out there and connecting with people and doing all the complicated socializing things when I was in an international space. And I have gotten into this with myself of why that is, but before I learned a lot of the reasons, it was confusing. Why do I seem to fail at this socializing thing in America, but I'm okay with it in Europe? Like, what's going on there? Well, that's a distinction I had to make for myself. But for a while, my interpretation was just that I was good at something overall, and then I got worse at it later. Like, I didn't make the connection that it was largely environmental. And also just that I hadn't met the right people. Like, I've been in America now for 5 years since I moved back, and I've met some more of the right people, and I'm not having as much of a difficult time getting out there and meeting people and all the rest. So the meaning wasn't what I thought, just that I'm getting worse at this thing, and therefore I'm worse as a person, and that I have started to fail at something that, well, maybe I just never really knew why I was good at it. Maybe it was a fluke. I've now been able to make the distinction that, yeah, I do live differently depending on what environment that I'm in. I expect different things of myself and the people that I meet there. And those differences in me are natural when I change environment, but they're not hard-coded. Since I've been able to work at things, I found that I never lost those competencies. I just needed to do different things in this different environment to make them work, to find them again. And that's been a very relieving process of like reintegrating a part of myself that I was like, did I lose this? Did I ever really have it? Because yeah, I just needed to realize that I needed to change how I coped with things. And, you know, it's a part of me that never went anywhere. I just needed to find it again. So both professionally and personally, I always encourage people not to call it quits on the story just yet when you think about how you've changed in some ways. Because if you stop telling the story, if you decide that it's over and, oh, yeah, I was good at this thing and now I'm worse, well, then you will start to integrate that personally and live with that narrative. But with some reauthoring, you can find new meaning in older stories and find new themes in them that you might not expect. Like, me coming back to America wasn't a story of failing and losing a competency after all. It was until I looked again at it. It was a story about being patient with a part of myself that I may have sort of gotten for free because the environment naturally lended to that competency in a way that my new environment didn't. And then just having to be more intentional about how I adjusted it. But that story and the way I feel about it would have never came to be if I really never looked for the distinction. Just running my lint roller over my black shirt. My white cat been all over my shit this episode. She's finally settled down in my lap. So, oh geez. So, I think that catches us up to hopefully an understanding of what May is going through and how taking some steps forward might look for her. I sure hope that Dr. Hank is up for all of that next time they get together. But I have faith that she'll be able to find some good parts of herself regardless of what happens. Hello, this is Editor Brady here, and Miadine as well. So I decided to stop the episode here. I did continue actually all the way through to the end of the game, so I have completed it now. But this recording and the next one ended up being like a 4-hour shoot altogether. So I decided to split it up into two, just to give the things that we discuss in the finale their own room to breathe. I also have something special planned for the end, as I usually do, and it may take me a little more time than usual to prepare the ending of this series. So thank you for being patient. I hope you enjoyed this episode, and I look so forward to finishing this one with you very soon. I think May needs a little bit of this after this episode. See you soon.